Hello, this is the Captain Paxo, welcoming you to another installment of Paxo's podcast, this time for November 2018. Might be a little bit shorter of a podcast this time. I don't really have as much stuff I want to talk about. If you have any topics that you want me to talk about specifically, feel free to leave them in the comments below and I will definitely get round to them. But for this week? I don't do this weekly, I do this monthly. For this month, going to be back with Monster Hunter and Warframe, and not really much else. Fortuna came out, and as much as I said I was going to wait for the bugs to be sorted out and for the balancing to come out, I couldn't help myself, man. I couldn't help myself. I've played a lot of Fortuna recently. But first, let's talk about Monster Hunter. I've been playing a lot of Generations Ultimate. I did some Nagakuga farming to get a new high rank set, because I really needed a new high rank set. I mean, monsters were starting to throw me around like freaking, I don't know, something that you throw around, like a hot potato, I don't know. It wasn't particularly good. So I needed a new armor set, and I wanted to get an armor set that would make me more powerful in an offensive sense, as well as being able to take a few more hits. And I thought, Nagakuga gives me evasion, which lets me be a bit more defensive. It's got more defense than the set that I was currently using. And it also gives you expert. Paired that with the Nagakuga sword and shield, which has like 40% affinity, plus 30% from the critical eye, plus 3. That's 70% friggin' affinity right there. Apply the chaos oil, which is every single oil that the sword and shield can use. And since the affinity oil gives you 50% affinity, that's just 100% affinity right there. Every single attack is a critical hit. And I've been running that with Alchemy Sword and Shield, because Alchemy is so good on Sword and Shield. Like, being able to just pull out the barrel by holding your shield and then hitting Y is really, really nice. It allows you to get the barrel active, start shaking it, do your thing, and then get out of there. All sorts of good stuff. And that was all well and good until I decided to try and take on some of the deviants, because I wanted to get the full strange set, because it's a good base hunting horn set. I know it's not a particularly great hunting horn set in general, because it's like, what, health, Partbreaker, and Maestro. You can normally slot in Maestro with decorations and a charm, so normally you go for something else, but I don't really have that, and I'm not really sure what I'd want with a hunting horn set anyway, so this is just a good starting point, as I'm wanting to get into the hunting horn a bit more. But to get the strange set, you need to fight a lot of deviants. You need to do Red Helm Arzuros, you need to do Snow Baron Lagombi, which thankfully I'd already done a lot of Snow Baron Lagombi, just trying to farm its set, because I wanted that set. Stonefist Hermitor, and Dread Queen Rathian. Now, trying to do the Red Helm Arzuros, you have to break the head to get the Rage Fur. That's a little bit difficult, because Red Helm tends to stand on its hind legs, so its head is out of reach for quite a long period of time. So you really have to pick and choose when you go in to try and hit the head. And since he hits like a freaking truck, you really have to be careful about where you're positioning yourself so as to not get one-shot by one of his crazy attacks. Now, I was doing Red Helm online. This was ages ago, back when Nintendo Online was free. I was doing Red Helm in the online, and the host, I feel so bad for him, because he was the one hosting the hub, and he was wanting to do the Red Helm Arturos, and we got in there, he was using a hunting horn. I was like, that's so cool, someone else is using the hunting horn. And he triple carted and just immediately left after that, because it was like, oh, that's very embarrassing. God, I know the feeling though. Just going into a hunt and just getting triple carted. Yeah, it's kind of embarrassing, but there's not really much you can do about that. It happens to the best of us. And Monster Hunter isn't exactly an easy game. I mean, fighting just the first Red Helm Arzuros quest, it's not the hardest thing in the game either, but by no means is it the easiest. It's very easy to slip up, especially when you've been going through like low rank and even high rank, and you're thinking, well, it's the fucking Arzuros, what the fuck's it gonna do? And then BAM! One shot, holy shit, what? Where did that come from? Oh right, this is a deviant. Deviants don't mess around. There isn't a single deviant that is easy, per se. Some are easier than others, but there aren't any that are just easy. I remember the last cart that guy had so vividly, because he was using the hunter art that allows you to do an evasion, like to do an evade into a horn buff, a melody. And he did that right as the Red Helm was winding up an uppercut. He just jumped straight in there and smacked it, started playing it, and as the Red Helm pivoted around, you could see he went for the evade to try and get out of there, but just didn't time it well enough and got completely obliterated. Oh, God. Straight up reminds me of my first time against Snowbound Lagombi. What's this? What is this? You think I'm scared of a Lagombi? What's it gonna do? Oh, that's a triple car. Oh, shit. Where did that come from? Why does this move have so much range? Why does it do so much damage? What the hell is going on? Oh my god. I even fucking got insurance and Moxie and it still wiped me out. Oh my god. So yeah, Red Helm. And then Stonefist. Stonefist was frustrating. Stonefist was the point at which I learnt that alchemy is not the best thing on the planet. I mean, it's very powerful, don't get me wrong. Just free whetstones that give you an increased charge, an increased rate at which your hunter arts charge. Very, very powerful. And rations that you eat like twice as fast as normal rations, that you don't have to go through the flex animation, that's powerful. And slicks, so where you can duplicate that stuff, and earplugs. Wow, there's a lot of things that you can do with alchemy. Good lord. And then the SP has different charges, so normally when you choose your hunter arts, you can either activate them as an SP or not activate them as an SP. SP arts take longer to charge, but they give you a buff when you do activate them, depending on your style. Most of them only have one level of SP. Alchemy gets 4, and they all just increase your alchemy potential in some way, shape, or form. I'm not exactly sure what they do, I should really look that up, but I know that once you get to SP Mark 3, when you activate your SP art, your health starts passively regenerating. As in, like, Monster Hunter World, Volhazak set, just passive regeneration. It's just regenerating. Look at that. And then I believe SP Mark 4 increases that rate even more. So you just get passive health regeneration, which means you're using less health potions, and that's always good, you know? But anyway, with Stonefist Hermitor, or with regular Hermitor anyway, when he hides behind his giant claws, you can throw a sonic pod at it. Sonic pod? This isn't World. Sonic bomb at him, and it will open up his defense. It will stun him, and you can get in there and do quite a significant amount of damage. Hey, look at that. There's a use for sonic bombs outside of unearthing monsters that can dig. Who'd have thought? And I thought I was being very clever, because alchemy style has alchemy sonic pods. You can make sonic pods with the alchemy style. Or the alchemy barrel, I should say. So I was making those, and Stonefist hid behind his claws, so I activated the alchemy sonic bomb, and it didn't do what I thought it would do. Normal sonic bomb, you just got a sonic bomb and you chuck it and it explodes. Oh, there you go. Simple as that. Alchemy sonic bomb, you get a barrel, and then you shake the barrel, and then you wait about 5 seconds, and then it fires a projectile out, and then that explodes to be the sonic effect. So by the time you get through the whole animation, by the time the sonic pod actually leaves the barrel, you've already missed your opportunity. You know, the Stonefist has already put his guard down. So the Sonic Pod doesn't affect him at all. I must have tried it 4 times. Completely worthless. So don't use alchemy Sonic Pods. They're not good at all. I mean, sure, you can use them against the Nagakuga to force an enraged state, and maybe you could use them against a Snow Baron Lagombi and a Stonefist Hamator if you get the timing right, or if you just get lucky. But if you're going to try and use it against, say, a Diablos, I would say don't even bother. You're just going to get yourself killed. Which is a real shame, because the rest of the alchemy kit is extremely powerful. Like, when a monster's sleeping, because I'm using Sword and Shield, I don't really have a powerful wake-up hit. All of the attacks that Sword and Shield has, relatively weak. But the Alchemy Barrel has the Alchemy Fireballs. And they do a lot of damage in a single hit. I'm not exactly sure how much, but it's way more than any Sword and Shield attack that you have access to use. So, you know, charge up a Fireball, hit it in the face. That's a pretty big wake-up for a Sword and Shield, you know? But fighting Stonefist Hamator, it was good fun. I enjoy it. I find his shell swipey attack, where he does like an uppercut and then a slam down, that one's really difficult to get out of. I can never quite tell when he's doing it, so I just get clipped by it every single time. Very frustrating, but that's about the only frustrating part of the fight. Like, even with those the swipes where he walks sideways, tries to get you onto his left or his right, and then he swipes with his claw, I've started to get a lot better at evading that, because that move from both Hermitor and Xenator used to piss me the hell off. I used to get so aggravated by those attacks, but after fighting a lot of Stonefist, I've gotten a lot better at, you know, not committing so hard that I can't evade those attacks, because they're always coming. You know, those two monsters, they just love spamming that attack over and over and over, so you have to be ready to dodge it. So at that point, you know, I've done enough Red Helm Arzuros for the Strange set, done enough Snow Baron, and I've done enough Stonefist. So all that's left is the Dread Queen Rathian. Dread Queen really scared me. Just the idea of fighting a Dread Queen Rathian really, really scared me. Simply because Rathian in Generations Ultimate is harder than Rathian in World, because she has fewer startup frames. In fact, some of her moves don't really have any startup frames, she just does them. And they have fewer recovery frames, so she can be a hell of a lot more aggressive. On top of that, wind pressure is real in Generations Ultimate. Like, it's a real threat. It's not just something that you'll see on a very rare occasion, unless you're fighting a wind-based monster. No. Nearly everything in Generations Ultimate has wind pressure. If it's got wings, it can cause wind pressure, so you need to be careful. You know, a Rathian just taking off will cause wind pressure. A Rathian landing will cause wind pressure. And you don't necessarily have to be right underneath it. You just have to be within a couple of meters of her and you'll still get wind pressured. It's really dangerous, and you stay in that stunned animation for a hell of a lot longer, or it seems to me anyway that you stay in that stunned animation for a hell of a lot longer in GU than you do in World. So with that being said, yeah, GU Rathian, harder than World Rathian. And in Generations Ultimate, there's the Rathian. There's no pink Rathian, but there is the golden Rathian, and I'm not too sure which one is more powerful or if they're basically the same. I haven't actually fought golden Rathian yet. And I'm not really looking forward to, if Dread Queen is anything to go by, I think it's going to be difficult. But Dread Queen is, as far as I can tell, because she's a deviant, in my head, she has to be harder than golden Rathian. Right? Because the deviants are one of the end games of Monster Hunt, or of GU, because they go all the way from low rank hub to G rank hub. And they're hard, like they're really hard, just as like low rank hub. Like, even if you take on the deviants as soon as you can fight them, you're going to get your ass handed to you on a silver platter. So I can only imagine how dangerous and how scary they are in G rank. And I mean, Bloodbath Diablos, the second flagship of GU, is one of the final bosses, essentially. So, like I said, in my head, Dread Queen is harder than Golden. And I'm going to have to fight a Dread Queen in order to get the 3 shells in order to make the final piece of my Strange set. And I'm dedicated to this set at this point. I've made 4 of the 5 pieces. I'm making this set. So I go in, as nervous as I am about the fight, I go in with my my Sword and Shield, my Nagakuga set, the Alchemy style. Something I'm really comfortable with. I think I can handle this. I've got flash pods, I got antidotes, herbal medicines. I'm ready for this fight. Well, as ready as I can be without actually having fought Dread Queen. 50-minute timer. Gets to about 30 minutes. I haven't carted yet, but boy have I used a lot of healing items. Holy shit. 30 minutes in, and I'm starting to think, you know, I might actually run out of time. I might not be able to kill this thing quickly enough. And my Nagakuga Sword and Shield, the only thing that it needs to be upgraded to max, or to one of its final forms, is Hyper Nagakuga scales. That's where it's at, you know, it's dealing like I think it's 140 or 160 damage per hit, and I have a base 70% affinity. I'm dealing a lot of fucking damage, but 30 minutes in, it's still not limping. Bear in mind, I am doing this solo. I'm a bit of an idiot, but I don't have online. So, you know, having to do this solo when it's designed for 4 people. Either way, this is the first Dread Queen Rathian hunt, right? This is the easiest it gets. It does not get easier than this. And I'm 30 minutes in, and it's still not limping. That's terrifying to me. Especially considering that all of its crazy attacks have also been terrifying to me. Just the way that it moves and all of the hitboxes and the crazy poison that it dishes out. Holy shit. Anyway, fucking 35 minutes, still no limp. 40 minutes, my god, there's no way I'm going to finish this. I got 10 minutes left and it's still not limping. I mean, if I cart, I can't win this. I'll just not have enough time. Probably. And I'm probably not going to have enough time anyway, you know? This is ridiculous. I'm going to put 50 minutes into this fight and it's not even going to get to a limping state. That is... Oh, that doesn't feel good. But then it did limp. Of course it limped. 40 minutes in, wailing on it with a really powerful offensive set. Sure, I was getting my ass handed to me, but I was dishing some damage back. This, like... Ooh. So finally, after 40 minutes, it starts limping. Good God. So that's the point where I can capture it. I can't kill it. I only have 10 minutes left. I might have been able to kill it, but I just wanted to capture it. Like, I need to get this out of the way. I can't really waste any time. If I waste time, then I could just run out, you know? I don't have the luxury of being able to mess around when I only have 10 minutes left and it's only just started limping, right? So I go into the next zone where the Dread Queen is. I didn't wait long enough for it to go to sleep, so it gets aggroed to me. So I put the trap down. It dashes forward to try and nab me. I roll backwards, almost into the other zone as it walks into the trap. I think if I had walked into the other zone by accident, that trap would have been gone. It would just bye-bye. And I'd have had to have figured out a way of putting down a pitfall trap to, you know, try and capture it that way, which is a little bit scary. Especially at this point where it's like, I'm panicking, 40 minutes in, I'm really panicking, its moves are really, really scary, I am panicking quite a lot. But I didn't roll into the other zone, so I can capture it. Get the 2 trank pods. Oh, thank God, captured it. Sweet. Alright, let's hope we got enough materials to be able to make the Strange set, because I don't want to have to do this again. So, on the reward screen, oh, that is a lot of scales. Yeah, that's plenty of scales. Look at that, that's like 4 scales. I only need 3. Sweet. Collect all of those. And I go back to the foundry to make the piece of armor. Go to make it. Alright, let's make... Why is it grayed out? Well, I have enough scales. I mean, it's... Oh, it's not scales I need. It's shells. Fuck. And I only have one of 3. Ah, shit. Oh, no. 40 minutes. And I only got 1. And that was from a tail carve as well. That wasn't even from like a quest reward or a capture or anything like that. That was from a tail carve, of which I could have gotten a spike or a plate or something stupid like that, you know? But I was a broken man. Nervous going into the fight. I got really nervous fighting the Dread Queen because crazy moves, got some AoE, some really dangerous poison, a lot of close encounters, almost died a number of times, took 40 minutes, finally captured it, only barely, could have very easily cocked that up, and I get 1 shell out of that when I need 3. Yeah. Man, I don't know another game that has delivered that much of an emotional roller coaster that consistently. Like that's just one of the things that I really love about Monster Hunter, is it creates these amazing experiences, these amazing series of emotions. But it's just a PvE game. There's no PvP in it whatsoever. Like most games that are able to do this are like Rainbow Six Siege, when, you know, it's a 1v5 or something crazy like that, when all odds are against you and there's just this roller coaster of emotions where you think you're gonna get it and then something bad happens and you start panicking, but then you manage to get the win anyway, you know? But this is a PvE game. There's no player versus player. It's all player versus the monsters. And yet it's able to deliver that. So just crazy amounts of memorable experiences. Absolutely crazy. Yes, Cat. I guess you're a part of the podcast too. So I decided that I wasn't going to fight the Dread Queen Rathian with my Sword and Shield set, because that would be ridiculous. I need to shave time off of that so that I get a little bit more leeway, because although I didn't cart in that quest, it took 40 minutes. If I had carted once or twice, I might not have had enough time to be able to capture the Dread Queen. If I'd played worse, I wouldn't have had time to be able to capture the Dread Queen. So I was like, I need to get a better set. I need to get a set that can deal elemental damage to be able to overwhelm the Dread Queen, and I need something that can, like an armor set that can reinforce the elemental damage. So I decided, alright, let's go figure out what the best lightning weapon that I can, or the best thunder longsword I can make right now is, because I wanted to use Valor Longsword, because that is very powerful. I'm quite comfortable with that. Figured it'd be quite good against the Dread Queen, because Alchemy Sword and Shield kind of struggled. So I wanted something a little bit more consistent with its evasive options. So, turns out, in my current situation, it was the Astalos longsword. So, hey, gotta farm some low rank Astalos, some high rank Astalos, some things in between. Gotta make that and upgrade it as far as I can. So a bit of Astalos. And then I decided I wanted to make the Zinogre set, because that gives crit element and gloves off, or latent power. And since the Astalos longsword has a little bit of affinity on it anyway, I was like, oh, well, this would be a really good combination. So farm some Zinogre as well. Look at that. I'm farming Astalos and Zinogre just so I can farm Dread Queen better, so I can get a kind of a shit tier armor set. Like, what am I doing here? I'm having fun is what I'm doing. It's kind of pointless, but, you know, at the end of the day, you can argue that all video games are kind of pointless and just a waste of time, but we play them because we have fun. And this is what I wanted to do. So then I went back with the Astalos longsword and the Zinogre set, and I managed to, I'd say I did pretty well against the Dread Queen. I managed to shave off about 10 minutes. So instead of 40 minutes, it took about 30, and then I managed to shave another 5 minutes off just by playing better. So overall, that was a good decision on my part, and just playing better, of course, helps. And now I am the proud owner of the Strange set. Whoop-de-doo. A shit tier set that I might never use because I might never get into Hunting Horn. It would be a bit of a shame if that is the case, but it could well happen. Like, I don't think... There are weapons in Generations Ultimate that I just think I'm never going to use. I don't think I'm ever going to use the Gun Lance. I don't think I'm ever going to use the Switch Axe or the Charge Blade. I don't think I'm going to use the bow guns all that much. And I might not even use the hammer. Because I'm just too used... In regards to Switch Axe and hammer, I'm just far too used to the world versions where they're stupid powerful and they get some really awesome moves. Like the power stance for hammer and just being able to transform on every single attack on Switch Axe is too good. So trying to get used to the way that Generations Ultimate of those weapons play, that's going to be very, very difficult, but I really want to start doing that at some point. But at the same time, kind of want to keep progressing with the way that I am, you know? And trying to learn a new weapon on top of that could slow things down quite significantly. But speaking of progressing in Monster Hunter, I have, well, got to the credits in the village, which is awesome. Feels really, really awesome. Fought Volfolk, I defeated Volfolk. He is, without a doubt, my favourite Elder Dragon. Like they say, I've heard that like your favourite monster in Monster Hunter is the flagship of the first Monster Hunter game that you played. I am an exception to that rule, if it is a rule at all, which I don't believe it is. Because the first Monster Hunter game I played was Freedom on the PSP. Flagship of that was Rathalos. I don't really care for Rathalos all that much. I'm quite apathetic towards him. Like, he's a cool monster, but there are cooler monsters out there. And then the next Monster Hunter game that I played was Monster Hunter World, of course, which the flagship of that is the Nergigante. Nergigante. However you want to pronounce it. And he's cool. He's real cool. But he's not my favourite monster even in World. I think that has to go with Legiano or Odogaron or something like that. But then I played Generations, technically speaking, and the flagship of that is like Glavenus or Hellblade. Like, if you have to put a finger on one flagship in Generations, I think it would either be Glavenus or Hellblade Glavenus. And Glavenus isn't even my favourite of the Fated Four, so again, doesn't really work there. But, of course, the flagship of Generations Ultimate is Volfolk, and holy shit, do I like Volfolk. He is such a fucking cool dragon. Fucking jet engines for wings. Whoops. That probably sounded really horrible on the mic. Sorry about that. But, you know, the kind of the falcon or the bird of prey look on his face, or the beak, so to speak, the streamlined shape and he's got jet engines in his wings. He's fucking cool. Definitely my favourite monster in GU so far. I might encounter something that manages to top that. I somewhat doubt it. So for now, Volfolk is my definitive favourite monster. But of course, you know, silly me, I thought Volfolk would be weak to... Sorry, not Volfolk. Volstrax. Volstrax in English. That's his name. Rocket-propelled Elder Dragon, something like that. I can't help but call him Volfolk. I just can't. Because that is the name in which this monster was introduced to me as, so it's the name that stuck with me, and I just think that Volfolk is a way cooler name than Volstrax. So I'm going to be sticking with Volfolk. Anytime I say Volfolk, I mean Volstrax. But I thought Volfolk would be weak to Dragon element, because most Elder Dragons are. But actually he is resistant to Dragon element, and weak to every other element. So when I first fought him, I was using the Shigara Magala longsword. Wasn't even that well upgraded. You know, didn't even have... I don't believe it even had white sharpness on it. Which, if you had a look at the Shigara Magala longsword, that's kind of painful. It has a very small amount of blue, and then a very small amount of green, and then it's a small amount of yellow, and then it's just red. It does not have a lot of sharpness. But it has a lot of dragon element, and it has a lot of crit. So I was using it with my crit element set, and trying that out. It took a while. It took about 35 minutes to defeat Volfolk. And then when I discovered, oh, actually he's weak to everything other than dragon, I put on my Astalos sword again and managed to shave off 10 minutes. That's just the power of using the correct element in Monster Hunter. Shaves off so much frickin' time. It's amazing. It was an intense fight though. Constant back and forth. Didn't quite cart, but again, a lot of really close times. God. I know I praise Monster Hunter for giving a lot of memorable experiences, but fucking hell. It gives so many memorable experiences. It's absolutely amazing. And even though I knew about the round the world attack, he did actually manage to fake me out one time. He started to leave, and I thought he was leaving to the next zone. So, I put my weapon away, I'm scrolling through my inventory, thinking about sharpening my weapon, and all of a sudden, why is the music still playing? I turn to my right, there's this giant red comet in my face. Oh god! Bam! Lots of fun, and I've fought him a couple of times now, and I'm starting to get it down, starting to get his fight down, starting to get better with the Valor longsword, understanding his hitboxes, because he has some rather annoying attacks. Like if you're close to him, he likes to try and swipe at you with one of his front claws, and then he'll swipe at you with his wing. And if the engines are pointing away from you, then he'll hit you with the spike of the other wing, whereas if they're pointing towards you, he'll just slam you with the wing of the same side. So if he swipes at you with the left claw, he'll hit you with the left wing, if that makes sense. Just little stuff like that, just figuring out this fight, trying to get better at it, but he's an interesting fight. He really is. Very, very fast, and he does not let you get to his sides or his back very easily at all. He's very good at keeping you in front of him and kind of zoning you out with projectiles and long range attacks and just keeping you at bay. But with that out of the way, now that I've, completed the story and I've watched the the credits, the ending song with the Meowstress and the other, is it Linian? I can't remember. The new character that was added in GU, the Meowstress's sister, I believe she is. Just watching that, again, musical going off, I'm just thinking, only developers who love what they do could come up with this. Like, if the people who made Generations Ultimate didn't love what they were doing, I don't think that would exist. Where they're doing the musical, the kind of song and dance before the credits. I don't think that would exist, at all. Because it's just such a random thing. It doesn't really aid to the gameplay or the narrative. In fact, if anything, it detracts from the narrative because it's very, very silly. Or it's not really silly. It's very, how should I put it? Not very serious. It's very light-hearted. But it's there. And I love it. I think it's amazing. I think it's the best thing on the planet. God. I fucking love Monster Hunter, man. I fucking love it. So now it's gonna be me trying to do the last few quests in High Rank Village. I've got, say, Diablos and Shigaru and maybe a couple of Elder Dragons to do in high rank, and then it's off to the hub where I'll probably be soloing hub quests for a while. But I've been thinking about getting online at Christmas just so I can play online, because now that the single player stuff is mostly out of the way for me, I've only got hub left to do, and if I'm playing hub by myself, well, that's kind of depressing. That's kind of really depressing, actually, and I don't want to do that, especially once I get into high rank, especially once I start farming Deviants, and once I get into G rank. I don't want to be doing that solo. So, yeah, I'm thinking about getting online. As much as I don't want to, as much as I think it's just money going down the drain because it's something that I shouldn't have to pay for, I really want to play online, man. And this is how they get you, you know? They twist your arm, like, if you want to play online, you're going to have to pay for it. I've still got plenty of single player to do, though, and Monster Hunter's fun, no matter what. So at least there's that. So moving on to Warframe. Well, there's not really much to talk about in Warframe, is there? I mean, it's not like there was a huge update that came out this month or anything like that. Nah. There's not really much I'm just playing. Fortuna. I fucking love Fortuna. I've been playing it every single week. And hasn't been every single day, because I did get a little bit burnt out in the first week or two, where I was like, I need to take a little bit of a break from this so I don't completely burn myself out on it. But I've been really, really enjoying Fortuna. I've gotten into it so much more than I got into Plains of Eidolon, even though it is just Plains of Eidolon, but better. I've somehow managed to just really sink my teeth into Fortuna in a way that Plains just didn't get me at all. Maybe it's the environment. Maybe it's that I'm fighting Corpus instead of Grineer. Maybe it's because the bounties are a lot more interesting. Maybe it's because I have an Arcwing now, and I didn't when I first played Plains. Maybe it's the new mining mechanics. Maybe it's the new fishing and the K-drives. I don't know what it is specifically about Fortuna that makes me want to play it so much more than Plains of Eidolon. But I really like Fortuna. Been really, really enjoying it. And there were quite a few bugs when it first came out, and there were some balance issues. Some of the enemies, even on the lowest level bounties, some of the elite enemies were dealing ridiculous damage. And I was using Gara with the Splinter Storm, 90% damage reduction to all of your hit points, shields, health, the lot, over shields. And I was still taking a ridiculous amount of damage from some of these enemies because they just dealt incredible damage. And I'm pretty sure they've toned that down now. Thank God. And of course, your usual array of bugs. There's been a lot of UI bugs where the indicator hasn't quite loaded in properly, or like the objective hasn't quite come up on the UI. Like, you gotta go protect these excavators. Okay, looking on the UI to see how much health each excavator has, but they're not appearing. Okay, cool. Or in a normal mission when you're looking for the exit and it won't come up on the mini map, so you have to open up the main map and it'll be like, it's over here, dumbass. And of course there was there was a place in which you could phase through a wall. They've patched this out and I'm really sad about it. Because it was like a little secret room, a little secret hideout. You could just go and be like, this is my space. I know about this, no one else does. It was in the enrichment labs, right under the Spiderlon. It's not Spiderlon, the Profit Taker orb. There's like a little, I don't know how to describe it really, but there was that little bit of a ramp down onto that strut in the middle, like directly under the orb taker, and there was a little bit of a gap on the left and the right. If you dropped down onto those and walked into the wall, you would phase through it. Whereas if you were just on that strut itself, you wouldn't be able to phase through. You had to be on the left or the right where it dipped down a little bit. You could phase through that, and there was a pretty big empty room where you could just hang out and be like, I live here now. I really wish that they had done something with that, like made an Easter egg out of it, where there's like some Vent Kid posters up there and like a table and some chairs or something like that. I don't know, just get crazy with it. Make it an Easter egg as opposed to just patching it out entirely. I understand why they did it, because it's not meant to be there, obviously, but I would have just loved to have seen it turned into this Easter egg. Found that on the first day, actually. I was just playing with a puppy group, and because you can now select a new bounty whilst you're still out on Orb Valis, which people don't seem to be taking advantage of at all, which is very sad. But because you could do that, the puppy group that I was with just decided, like, yeah, sure, let's just keep playing with each other, because we were quite happy playing with each other. I was playing as Gara, who is pretty disgustingly good on Fortuna, just because of the wall, being able to zone out certain objectives, like protecting the coil drive. Enemies just can't get to it if you manage to cover it. Or the surveillance drone. You can put a wall down and the surveillance drone won't be able to move. It'll collide with the wall and it'll try and push itself through, but it won't be able to get anywhere. So you can keep it in one place and you can stop people from getting to it very easily. Disgustingly powerful, and 90% damage reduction on the Splinter Storm, sorry. Very, very strong. So we just decided, yeah, sure, let's just go through all of the bounties. And we managed to get all of the Garuda parts in one session. It took about 2 hours. Which, at the time, we were all like, holy shit, we're lucky. Wow. But I think it was just because we were doing the bounties really efficiently, really well, that it was rewarding us with the higher rarity stuff. Because the better you do in the bounties, the better chance you have of getting the rare shit. Which is really nice. But when you're looking for the debt bonds, that can be a little bit frustrating. And that's been my main slowdown with Fortuna. It hasn't been the daily wrap at all. It's been trying to get these medical or these debt bonds, whether it be medical, shelter, training, advances, whatever. Just trying to get them, because when you do well enough in the bounties, they become a lot less common. So it can be very difficult to get enough of those debt bonds to be able to rank up, because you have to sacrifice them to rank up with Solaris United. So I was in a bit of a unique position, because I've seen a lot of complaints about how, the daily standing with Solaris United is kind of low. And I've been thinking, is it? I've been getting plenty. I think this is a perfectly reasonable amount of standing that you can get in a day. Of course, it's based on mastery rank, but I still think it's perfectly fine. Like, maybe I am in the minority. I seem to be in the minority with a lot of things regarding Warframe. But, it really struck me as odd that people found it so egregious. The K-Drive grind, that I understand. Just spending 4 hours to try and max out a K-Drive, that seems a little bit ridiculous to me. So I hope they do something about that. But with Solaris United, because there is so much that you can get with Solaris United, and because it is so big, it's such a big deal to get to the max rank with Solaris United, it opens up the Pax arcanes and some of the more powerful stuff with the mowers and whatnot. It's kind of a big deal, so I kind of expect it to take a really, really long amount of time, and I'm A-okay with that. This is something I've mentioned before, and I'll mention it a million times more. I'm a big fan of slow burn style games, so like Monster Hunter and Warframe, where you can put multiple hundreds of hours into these games and be nowhere even close to getting everything done. I just like that style. I like being able to spend a ridiculous amount of time in a video game and still have plenty to do. And when it comes to those debt bonds, you might say, well, you can just go to Ticker and get those bonds. I don't actually know about Ticker on my first day of playing. I didn't know about him on my first week of playing. It took me a couple of weeks before I discovered him by accident, because I saw some players up in this place. I was like, what are they doing up there? I went up there. Oh, cool, there's an NPC. Wait, this is a merchant. What? And I'd say that's due in part because I didn't look up anything about Fortuna before I played it, because I just wasn't particularly interested. I'm not someone who's all that interested in spoilers for a game that I'm invested in, because I'm very much interested in figuring it out myself. Again, I'm probably in the minority of that, but I really don't like it all that much when people tell me how something works before I try it for myself. If I've tried it and I really just don't understand it, then I might look it up. Like, going back to Monster Hunter, I was looking up how lasting power worked. Didn't really get any good answers, but I didn't understand the ability, so I looked it up, and I still don't understand it. But there's a difference between, me looking up stuff that I want to know after I've tried to figure it out, and me looking up stuff before I've even tried it. And I try to avoid that as best as I can. I don't always manage to do it, but I do try, because that sense of discovery is just something special. When you discover something, you're like, whoa, I didn't know this was a thing. I didn't know you could do this. What? That's insane. That's so cool. It feels good. It feels like you actually discovered something. Even if 100,000 million people have discovered it before you, when you figure it out on your own, that feels really good, But anyway, with Fortuna, the fishing and the mining has been actually kind of entertaining. As weird as that sounds. Again, back to the slow burn things. I like taking my time with things. I don't like taking my time with things to the point where I will deliberately slow my gameplay. I just like working at a comfortable pace with these sorts of games where, I can put it a little bit in here, a little bit in there, but I don't have to focus on it and be the most efficient thing on the planet to be able to get everything done within a split second, if you know what I mean. Like, I like being able to take my time with these things, but I'm not going to go out of my way to make it go slower. I'm going to do things to the best of my ability, but I'm going to do them in my own way. But then there's the floof hunting, which that was something else that I had to try and learn how to do on my own. Managed to fuck it up quite a few times, just trying to figure out how exactly to do it. I was pretty sure it was glitched for the first couple of days, so I couldn't quite do what I wanted to do with it. And then when I did get it to work, there were several times where I accidentally cocked it up in one way or another. So it's been a really interesting learning experience. I just haven't been able to do too much of it because I've been so focused on trying to get these debt bonds that, I'm doing these bounties to get the debt bonds, which then gives me my daily standing, and then I cap out on my daily standing, and then I go do something else. However, once I have enough debt bonds to be able to rank up to the next one, I will go floof hunting. Because that is something I want to experience more of, and I just haven't done it, Like, whenever I cap out on my daily standing, I go do relics, because I'm still trying to get the unvaulted relics for Nova Prime, Mad Prime, Soma Prime, Darkra Prime, that sort of good stuff, Because I got a Darkra Prime Riven, and I'd really like to try it out. Even though Melee 3.0 is somewhere around the corner, I'd like to try it out. Maybe Darkra Prime will become the best new sword, who knows? I don't know. And then there's the kit guns, which is probably the most interesting part about Fortuna. How do the kit guns work? Are they good? Are they bad? As far as I can tell, they're really, really good, but I haven't been able to mess around with them too much because, well, I'm only, like, the third rank doer. I need to be Cove to be able to get access to everything that the kit guns have to offer, except for the Pax Arcanes, of course. But you don't really need the Pax Arcanes to be able to get a good feel for how the kit guns work. The first one that I messed around with was the Tomb Finger. I went for the Haymaker, which is like slowest rate of fire but maximum damage. And then I can't remember the loader, but it was the one with the fastest load speed. So it's got a 0.9 second reload, which feels really goddamn good. The only problem is that, you know, the reload is faster than the time it takes between each shot because it's such a slow firing weapon that I've made. But it feels good. It does a lot of damage per shot for sure. And it was not quite what I was expecting. I was kind of expecting a grenade launcher for some weird reason. Just the way that it was described, you know, tomb finger, you know, maximum damage with very few shots or very slow rate of fire. I was wanting to make essentially a grenade launcher where I could just, you know, pull my noob tube out and just blast away an enemy in a single hit. That's not quite how tomb finger works. That's more like Catch Moon style, which I haven't used Catch Moon, but I've seen some Catch Moon stuff. It's a pretty nutty weapon. The thing is about the kick guns, I don't really know how the providing works, where you provide a kick gun for standing, because I maxed out that tomb finger and I went to provide it. Only gives like 600 rep when each of the parts that were required to build that weapon required 500 rep each. So that's 1500 rep total that I've spent making this kick gun, and I've got it to level 30. I've got it to level 30, and it's like, yeah, I'm only going to give you 600 rep for this. It's like, right, so I'm losing 900 rep on a weapon that I made and got to rank 30. Okay, sure, whatever. Maybe that's a little bit too easy, and maybe I'm a bit over optimistic. Let's guild it, which is another 5,000 rep, and then provide it. It's still only 1,000 standing that I get for that, which at that point would be like a 5,000 standing loss, because, you know, 1,500 just to make it, and then another 5,000 to guild it, 6,500, and I'm getting 1,000 back. That's really not good. So I've been ranking that up, and hopefully when it gets to level 30, it will be worth like 10,000 standing, so I'll gain like 4,000 standing. Here's hoping, right? Because otherwise, what's the point? You know? What is the point of building the kick guns early on to max them out and then guild them if you're just going to have to, you know, provide them to make better ones once you unlock the rest of the blueprints? You know, there'll be no reason to experiment with the kick guns until you unlock everything. There doesn't seem to be a point to me. So I'm hoping that, you know, that's how it works, and I haven't just wasted a bunch of standing, because that was my main concern with Zors. That was the reason why I didn't build any Zors, because I thought, this is going to be a complete waste of time. A complete waste of time and a complete waste of standing. I'm not going to get anything out of this. Speaking about that, though, with Zors, I need to go back to Plains of Eidolon, man. There's still stuff that I need to do in the Plains, which is ridiculous, but I need to go back to the Plains, farm up some Osteron standing, farm up some Quills, because I need to guild my Motamp. I finally maxed it out. I'm still using the Motamp. Well, hey, I managed to get my first Eidolon limb a few months back. So, you know, I'm doing something right. I'm getting better at being able to kill Eidolons. I think I'm still far too weak, but hey, one day I'll be able to solo a Terrorist, right? That'd be cool. But there's a lot of content for me to do. I'm still Mastery Rank 16. I'm getting close to 17, which is... that's really weird to think about, because I'm Mastery 17 on my PS4 account, which has 1,000 hours played on it. And PC, I'm nearly Mastery 17, which has about 500 hours played on it. 400, 500. I was playing a lot more efficiently on my PC, though, because PS4, I didn't know shit about anything. on PS4 for a really long time. And even when I figured out what Mastery rank was, I got to like Mastery 8 and then I just stopped leveling up my Mastery rank. Just completely stopped. I was like, I don't give a shit. I got my Soma, my Nyx, my Carrier. I don't need anything else. And I just used that for like 200 hours. It's why all of that is still my most used weapons. Or it's still my most used stuff. Nyx, Soma, Carrier. Still my most used stuff on my PS4 account. Even though I stopped using that like 800 hours ago, you know. Well, it doesn't matter which way you look at it. I've got a lot of shit to do in Warframe. And Fortuna has just added a boatload onto my plate. Which I have been chipping away at quite slowly, quite steadily. And one day I will have my own kit gun. I'm really looking forward to experimenting more with the kit guns. Because a pistol, there's so much more you can do with a pistol, like creating your own pistol, than you can with a melee weapon. With a melee weapon, well, what's there to change? The range, which you want a lot of range. The attack speed, which you're going to want some good attack speed. The crit chance would be nice. Status chance is a little bit more important. There's just not as much you can make unique out of the Zors as far as I'm concerned. But that's most in part because every single melee weapon plays the same. Outside of the ones that have unique gimmicks, like the Course Assist where you can throw a projectile or something like that, nearly every single weapon has the same mechanic where you're just mashing the melee button. And I'm someone who really enjoys the melee system, but that's all you're doing. So hopefully Melee 3.0 will make it a lot more satisfying, a lot more interesting, a lot more creative, and then maybe I'll get interested in Zors. But for now, I'm very much interested in kit guns because, you know, you got different variations in the reload speed and the fire rate, and sure, the stats can be very similar, but with the barrels, they just play very, very differently. You know, the Rattle Guts being high rate of fire, low base damage, but Tomb Finger being a low rate of fire but high base damage with a little bit of weird AoE with, and the beam weapon, I can't remember what it's bloody called. It's the one I'm least interested in, but I am now interested. At first I was like, I don't give a shit about this, but now I'm thinking, that could be kind of interesting. That's just a continuous beam, you know? And, of course, Catch Moon is like a mini Plasmor. I was hoping there would be like a grenade launcher in there somewhere. Or maybe something that could like charge up and fire like an innate punch through. I don't know. There's a lot more ways you can make pistols unique than melee weapons, is what I'm trying to say. So that's why I'm a lot more interested in the pistols as opposed to the melee weapons, even though I'm someone who really enjoys Melee 2.0. So I think that's going to be it for this month's podcast. As I said previously, if you've got a topic that you want me to talk about, feel free to leave it in the description. I'll probably have better impressions on Fortuna because right now I'm still not entirely sure how I feel about the rate at which you get standing. I'm not entirely sure how the kit guns are balanced or anything like that. I haven't really done too much with the floof hunting. But anyway, I keep saying but anyway, that's another one of those habits that I need to get rid of. I've managed to decrease the amount of umming that I do, because that's something that really pisses me off. Filler words, just ums and ahs and then anyways is something along those lines. I've been trying to get rid of those, but it's goddamn hard trying to pick up on those habits that you have in your speech and trying to eliminate them. My throat's kind of getting a bit strained at this point. I've been talking for over an hour, so thank you very much for watching, and I'll catch you next time.